Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where we play our way. So this is how to play the song Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. So this song's iconic, 2000s new metal emo rock song, right? So there's a couple of chords that you guys need to know for this song. So some of them that I'm going to mention are a little, I guess, on the abnormal side. They're easy to play. It's more or less they're less common or uncommonly used chords. So I'm just gonna name them off. I believe there's 8 or 9 chords, so I'm gonna name them off. It's an E minor, an A minor, a G major chord, a D major chord, a C major chord, a B minor, an E minor / G, a D over F sharp, a B chord, and a C over E chord, or C / E. So I know some of those sound a little funky and a little weird, but I guarantee you they're a lot easier than they sound. So to start off, for the intro, so when you hear this, the iconic how can you see into my eyes with open? So that part of the song just has 2 chords. You have an E minor and an A minor. So the E minor that the beginners are used to playing is the one on the higher up on the neck up here, or lower depending on your, however you were taught. But you can play the open chord version, but for this song, more accurately, you're playing the bar chord version. I'm going to show you both for those of you who are more on the beginner side and for those of you who are either trying to be more than beginners or at least intermediate. So I'm going to show you the right way to play it first, and then I'll show you the alternate version so that some of you who are starting out and learning can keep up with us. So to play the E minor bar chord, what you're going to do is you're going to bar the entire 7th fret. Then you're going to take your ring and pinky and put it on the 9th fret of the D and G string. You take your middle finger and put it on the 8th fret of the B. And again, it's a bar on the 7th fret with your index finger. If you can't do the full bar, what you could do is, for the intro, all you need is the bottom 4 strings anyway, so you can skip the bar out for that. The only time you're going to need the bar for this E minor chord is when you're actually singing along with it. When he says, wake me up inside, that part, then it sounds cooler and it sounds better with the actual, the staccato, the muting, the palm muting with the chord. So again, so you have your E minor. So I'm going to zoom in for you guys so you guys can see. So that's a top view of an E minor bar chord. Here's with the bar. Here's with just pressing down the high E string. So you're plucking the bottom 4 strings. So the way I play it is I pluck the bottom 4. I'm gonna zoom in for you guys. Here you go. So you have your E minor. Then the next chord is going to be an A minor bar chord. So again, I'm going to explain the bar chords first, then I'm going to go into the open chord version. So an A minor bar chord, again, you don't have to do the full bar, but it's up to you. So what you would do is an A minor bar chord, you're going to be on the 7th fret of the A and the D string with your ring and pinky finger. Then you're going to bar the entire 5th fret. A technique that I use, if you look at my middle finger, what I'm doing is, it's kind of difficult, especially as a beginner, to press down that full bar on all 6 strings. So what I do is I use my middle finger to press down my index finger a little harder. So in reality, this finger is pushing into the index finger and assisting in the pressure in between my thumb and my index finger. So it's forcing it down. It's as a beginner, it's difficult to kind of press down and make that full bar chord. And so what you do is I just pinch it. I pretend I'm pinching the guitar with my index and thumb. But when I press my middle finger, I press into it. My middle finger leans into my index finger, making it a little bit easier to play. So it's a little technique that I use. If you can't do the full bar, what I do is, so you have your normal 7th fret on the A and D with your ring and pinky, right? And all you do is you make half a bar with your index finger on the G, B, and high E string. So the bottom 3 strings. And all you would do is strum from the A string down. So that's the intro, and for most of the verses, that's what you're going to be playing. Then you have, when you start saying, you know, wake me up inside the actual chords itself, that's when you have your E minor, G, and D major chord progression. So you have the 3 chords for the chorus every time she sings that, or they sing that part of the song. So you have the E minor. Then you have a G chord. So G major bar chord would be your ring and pinky on the 5th fret of the A and the D. Your middle finger on the 4th fret of the G. And then you're gonna do a full bar on the 3rd fret with your index finger. If you can't do the, so here's a close-up view. If you can't do the full bar, again, what you do is the rest of the shape, except for the index finger, stays. So you have your ring, your middle ring and pinky finger, all staying in the exact same positions. Then all I would do is take my index finger and bar the bottom 2 strings. So in this case, it'd be the B and the high E on the 3rd fret. So that would sound like this. You have your E minor. Wake me up inside. G chord. I can't wake me up inside. Then you have your D major bar chord. In this case, I use the G major bar chord instead of the D major chord. So what that would be is, here's where you have, a lot of beginners have complications with this bar chord because you're technically making 2 bars. So you're gonna bar the 5th fret with your index finger from the A string down. Then you take your ring finger and bar the D, G, and B string on the 7th fret. So it looks a little funky, but it'd be like this. If you can't do that bar or do this chord, if you find it to be too difficult, you can just play the major part of the chord, which would be your ring finger. So in this case, I would just press down with my middle finger on the D, G, and B string of the 7th fret. And then you can get away with it that way. The average, you know, music listener won't be able to catch that, but for us musicians, we can catch it right away. So, but again, if you're playing to an average normal crowd, they're not going to notice whatsoever. So then the next chord after that would be your C major chord, C major bar chord. So you can play the bar chord. In my case, there's 2, depending on what kind of sound I'm going for. For this song, I like to use the C major bar chord up higher on the neck, so on the 8th, 9th, and 10th fret. So to play that, what you do is you're gonna bar the entire 8th fret with your index finger. Then you take your ring and pinky and put it on the 10th fret of the A and the D. And then you take your middle finger and put it on the 9th of the G string. Again, if you can't do that full bar, leave your middle ring and pinky finger where they are, and then do a mini bar or half a bar with your index finger on the 8th fret of the B and high E string. The other bar chord for a C major bar chord would be on the 3rd and 5th fret. So you bar the entire 3rd fret with your index finger, and then you do a half a bar with your ring finger on the 5th fret of the D, G, and B string. And same technique with the D chord, with the D major bar chord. If you can't strum the entire chord, just play the D, G, and B string on the 5th fret. Or play the open chord if that's easier for you. So that for the most part, that's the majority of the song. Now the funky chords come into when the song starts to rap and they start to go, you know, have a duet, a little battle back and forth. So what you do there is when you have an E minor over G, what I like to do is I make my normal E minor open chord, right? So you're on the 2nd fret, you have an open low E string. In this case, right, this would be an E minor. Open low E string, you have your middle and ring finger on the A and the D of the 2nd, and then the rest of the strings are open. So that's what it would look like. And I actually put my hands are big enough, so I put my thumb over the 3rd fret of the G. So it looks a little funky, but this is what my hands are doing. So my index and pinky aren't pressing anything down. So it's just my middle, my ring, and my thumb are the only ones pressing anything down. So in this case, it'd be 3rd fret on the low E string with my thumb, my middle and ring on the 2nd of the A and the D, and the rest of the strings are open. So it's a little funky. If you can't play it that way, what you could do is put your, if for some of you who play the normal E minor open chord with your index and middle finger on the 2nd of the A and the D, you can do it that way, and then you have your ring finger free in order to press down on the 3rd fret of the low E. So when you're pressing down on the 3rd fret of the low E, you're actually playing a G chord, a G note. So that's what makes it. So in this case, it'd be an E minor chord for these 2 fingers, and then you have when you have a slash over anything, any kind of whatever chord letter, then that's telling you what the root note it's going to be. So in this case, the note that you're going to play is a G chord, so G note. So you're combining a G chord and an E minor. A little music theory for you guys. So you have that, then you have a D over F sharp. So if you look it up on Google, or wherever you want to look it up, there's multiple ways to play it. The way I've always played it since I've been playing guitar for maybe 17, going on 18 years now, and I know a lot of intermediate or advanced guitar players will criticize me for this, but the way I play a D over F sharp is actually considered a B minor 7 or a B minor for some people. But so what I do is I actually put my thumb, so it's like a funky chord, right? So I make a D major chord. So I have my index finger on the 2nd fret of the G. I have my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and I have my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E. And all I do, again, I had big enough hands, so I put my thumb over the 2nd fret of the low E. And the A and the D are open. Then our next chord is going to be a B minor. So there's 2 ways to play it. I'm only going to show you this one because the other one doesn't really fit with the song very well. So to play a B minor, what you do is you bar the 2nd fret, the entire 2nd fret, or from the A string down. I just find it easier to bar the entire 2nd fret. You take your ring and pinky and put it on the 4th fret of the D and G. Take your middle finger and put it on the 3rd of the B. Then you bar the entire 2nd fret, and it sounds like this. So here's the top view for those who need it. If you can't do the full bar, once again, put your index finger and only press down on the 2nd fret of the high E string, and strum from the D string down. Here's what it sounds. Here's the difference. Sounds very similar. The only thing you're missing is the bass. And then our final chord, or our 2 final chords, are going to be a B. You can play the open B chord. I prefer you play the B major bar chord. So what I do, I actually like to play the B chord all the way higher up on the neck on the 7th, 8th, and 9th fret. So what you do is you bar the entire 7th fret with your index finger. You take your ring and pinky and put it on the 9th fret of the A and the D. Take your middle finger and put it on the 8th fret of the G. And then once again, you bar the entire 7th fret. So it sounds like this. If you can't do that, once again, put your index finger and only press down on the B and high E of the 7th fret. Some of you are used to playing the other, I guess, the B chord or the B major bar chord lower up on the neck or higher up on the neck right here. So you're barring the entire 2nd fret, and then you're doing a half a bar with your ring finger on the 4th fret of the D, G, and B. You can play it that way too. It just sounds a little too, I guess, the bass is a little off, or the tone's a little bit off. So I like to play the other one instead. Then our final chord is going to be the C over E. So if you're a beginner who already knows how to play the C major chord, you're in luck, because this is a lot easier. So you have a normal C major chord, all right? Now, with the normal C major chord, you don't hit the low E. You avoid that one, right? So you press down from the 3rd fret, you strum from the 3rd fret down. Now the C over E is the exact same thing. However, this time we're gonna strike the low E through playing all 6 strings. That's the only difference. Again, when you have an open, when you're strumming the 6th string without an open 6th string, that's considered an E note, so an E major note. So to play that chord, what you're gonna do is you have an open low E string, take your ring finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the A, take your middle finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the D, and take your index finger and put it on the 1st fret of the B. So it looks a little funky, but it looks like this. And you strum it down. And that's the entire song, guys. So you're just playing those chords throughout the chord progression throughout the entire song. And I know some of these sound a little funky. I know this tutorial went a lot longer than it had to be. I was just explaining them for those who are beginners or intermediate, so they can understand where the chords come from and what they actually mean. Now, I realized I didn't explain the open chord for some of them, because as I'm recording this, I actually kind of second guessed myself. I was like, you know what? I prefer you guys play it the most accurate way, but I'm gonna do you guys a favor. I'm gonna put the open chord, the open chords for the chords that I throughout this song up on the screen. So I'm gonna put the accurate one, and I'm gonna put the open chord as well, and I'm gonna label the two so you guys know which ones are song accurate and which ones are kind of the beginner easier chords. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and catch you guys on the next one.